Rain slammed hard against black umbrellas as the coffin began to descend. A sudden gust of wind flipped one umbrella inside out, and someone cursed under their breath. The priest's voice trembled as he tried to continue, but no one was listening anymore, because the lawyer had just stepped forward. "Before we conclude," he said, opening a document, "the final will of Chief Adrian Cole must be read." Every head turned. His children moved closer instantly, their grief tightening into something sharper, anticipation. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "To my children," he began. Silence swallowed the graveyard. "To my children, I leave nothing." The world seemed to stop. Then, "What? That's not possible! This is a joke!" Voices exploded around the burial ground, but the lawyer continued, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "To the maid, Amara, I leave everything." All eyes turned. She stood at the back, dressed in plain black, hands clasped tightly in front of her. Still, calm, unshaken. "Who is she?" one of the sons roared. And just like that, everything changed. Months earlier, no one knew her name. Amara moved through the mansion quietly, like she didn't belong to the same world as everyone else inside it. She cleaned floors no one looked at, carried trays no one thanked her for, and listened to conversations no one thought she could understand. To them, she was invisible. To Chief Adrian Cole, she was nothing. At least at first, until the night everything shifted. A loud crash echoed through the mansion. A glass shattered. A heavy thud followed. Amara froze in the hallway, her heart skipping. Then she ran. She pushed open the study door and saw him on the floor. Chief Adrian Cole, the most powerful man in the house, gasping for air. His hand clutched his chest, his breathing broken and uneven. The phone lay beside him. No one else was there. No family, no guards, no staff, just him and her. "Sir," she rushed forward, dropping to her knees. His eyes locked onto hers, wide, shocked, almost afraid. "Don't move," she said quickly, grabbing the phone and dialing for help. "You're going to be okay." He tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Amara placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Just breathe." Her voice was calm, too calm. He stared at her like he didn't understand what he was seeing. Why wasn't she afraid? Why wasn't she running? The ambulance arrived minutes later, but even as they carried him out, his eyes stayed on her. He survived, but something about him didn't. When he returned from the hospital, the house felt colder than before. Or maybe he finally noticed it. His children visited, but only briefly. "How are you feeling?" one asked, glancing at his watch. "You should really start planning things properly, you know, your will." He watched them carefully. Not one of them stayed long enough to sit. Not one asked how he truly felt. Not one cared enough to listen. And then she walked in. Amara placed a tray beside him gently. "Your tea, sir." He studied her face. "You were the one." She paused slightly. "Sir? That night?" She nodded. "Yes. Why did you help me?" The question lingered in the air. Amara met his gaze, steady and soft. "Because you needed help." No hesitation, no fear, no calculation, just truth. Something shifted inside him. Sit, he said suddenly. She hesitated. Sir, That's not a request. Slowly she sat, and for the first time in years, he talked. You think money solves everything, he said one evening, staring at the empty glass in his hand. Doesn't it? She asked quietly. He let out a bitter laugh. It solves problems, but it creates emptiness. She tilted her head slightly. Then why did you choose it? The question hit him harder than he expected. He looked at her, really looked at her. You're bold, he said. No, she replied softly, just honest. He leaned back. I thought power would give me control, that I could build something untouchable. And did you? Yes, he said slowly, but I lost everything that mattered in the process. Silence stretched between them. Then she spoke again. Maybe you didn't lose it, she said. Maybe you just stopped seeing it. He didn't respond, but that night he didn't sleep. Days turned into weeks, and something unusual began to grow. He waited for her. He noticed when she wasn't around. He spoke more, laughed occasionally. The staff whispered. The family noticed, and they didn't like it. Why is she always with him? His daughter snapped one afternoon. She's manipulating him, the eldest son replied coldly. We need to get rid of her. They confronted her in the hallway. You think we don't see what you're doing? The daughter said, stepping closer. I'm just doing my job, Amara replied calmly. Don't lie, the son cut in. We've seen your type before. Amara didn't react, didn't argue. She simply bowed her head slightly. I have nothing to take from you. The son laughed. Oh, you will. People like you always do. She walked away, but their eyes followed her, filled with suspicion. Then, a week later, something went missing. A luxury watch, expensive, rare, and suddenly all fingers pointed to her. She was in his room, the daughter insisted. It has to be her, the son added. Amara stood in the center of the room as they searched her belongings, silent, still, until they found it, the watch, hidden among her clothes. Gasps filled the room. I knew it! She's a thief! Throw her out! Amara looked at the watch, then at them. I didn't take it, she said quietly. Enough, the son snapped. We found it. Stop. The voice came from behind them, cold, sharp. Chief Adrian Cole stepped forward. The room fell silent instantly. He looked at the watch, then at Amara, then at his children. She didn't take it. How can you be sure? The daughter demanded. Because I put it there. Silence. Shock. What? The son whispered. I wanted to see how far you would go, he said calmly, and now I know. Their faces drained. You framed her? The daughter asked. No, he replied. You exposed yourselves. He turned away. Leave her alone. That night, he made a decision, and he called his lawyer. I want to change my will. The meetings were quiet, private. His children tried to interfere, but he shut them down. This is not your concern. Their anger grew, and they took it out on Amara. You've poisoned him, the daughter said one evening. Amara met her eyes. No, she said softly. He just sees clearly now. The truth was closer than anyone realized. The day he died was silent. No arguments, no tension, just quiet. Amara sat beside him. His breathing was slow, weak. You knew, he whispered. Her eyes filled with tears. Yes, didn't you tell me? Her voice trembled.
Because I didn't come for your money. Then why? To understand you. He closed his eyes. A tear slipped down. I'm sorry. She nodded. I know. And then he was gone. Back at the funeral, the chaos hadn't stopped. This is fraud. We'll fight this. You manipulated him. The lawyer raised his hand. There is more. The crowd quieted. He looked at Amara. Would you like to speak? She hesitated, then stepped forward. My name is Amara Cole. The air froze. I am his daughter. Shock hit like thunder. That's impossible, the son shouted. My mother was someone he left behind, before the wealth, before the empire. Silence, heavy, painful. He didn't know about me until recently. The lawyer nodded. He confirmed it before his passing.
The mansion had never felt so tense. Even the air seemed to carry whispers. Staff moved carefully, avoiding eye contact. Conversation stopped the moment anyone from the family walked in. And at the center of it all was Amara. She felt it, the weight of their eyes, the suspicion, the hostility. But she said nothing. She just continued her work, quiet, focused, unshaken. Something isn't right, the eldest son said, pacing the living room. She's getting too comfortable, the daughter replied, arms folded tightly. Did you see how he defended her? He never defends anyone, the younger brother added. Their silence stretched. Then the eldest spoke again. We need to act now. Later that evening, Amara entered the study with a tray. Chief Adrian Cole was seated by the window, staring out into the dark. You didn't eat, she said gently. I wasn't hungry. She placed the tray down. You should still eat something. He didn't respond immediately. Then, slowly, he turned to her. They're watching you. Amara gave a small nod. I know. And you're not afraid? She looked at him. No. Why? Her answer came softly. Because I've lived with worse. He studied her carefully. There was something in her eyes, something deep, something familiar. You speak like someone who has known pain, he said. I have, she replied. He leaned forward slightly. Tell me. She hesitated, then shook her head. Not yet. The words lingered. Not yet. Not no. And for some reason, that mattered. The next day, everything escalated. Amara was called into the main hall. The entire family was there, waiting. This ends today, the eldest son said coldly. Amara stood calmly in front of them. Yes, sir? Where were you last night? The daughter demanded. In the staff quarters. Alone? Yes. The son slammed a file on the table. Then explain this. Inside were photos, grainy, blurry, but clear enough. Amara walking into the study late at night and leaving hours later. The room fell silent. What were you doing in our father's study at that hour? The daughter asked sharply. Amara looked at the photos, then at them. He asked for tea. For hours? The son snapped. Silence. They stepped closer. You think we're fools, he continued. You think we don't see what's happening. Amara's voice remained steady. I'm doing my job. No, the daughter said coldly. You're playing a game. And you're losing, the younger brother added. Amara didn't respond, but something in her silence unsettled them. That evening, Chief Adrian Cole called for her again. "You didn't tell me they confronted you," he said. "It wasn't necessary." His jaw tightened. "It is to me." She looked at him. "Why?" The question hit harder than he expected. "Because," he paused, then exhaled slowly, "because I don't like what they're doing." She tilted her head slightly. "Or you don't like what you're seeing?" He didn't answer, because she was right. Days passed, and the tension only grew. The family stopped pretending. Their attacks became direct, sharp, personal. "You don't belong here," the daughter said one afternoon, blocking Amara's path. Amara stopped. "I know." "Then leave." "I can't." "Why?" the daughter snapped. Amara met her eyes. "Because I haven't finished what I came to do." The words landed heavily. The daughter's expression shifted. "What does that mean?" But Amara had already walked past her. That night, the storm came. Not outside, inside. The family gathered in the study again, voices raised, arguments sharp. "He's slipping," the eldest son shouted. "Can't you see it? He's being manipulated," the daughter added. "We need to stop this before it's too late." The door opened, and Chief Adrian Cole walked in. Silence, immediate, deadly. "I can hear you," he said calmly. No one spoke. "You think I don't understand what's happening?" "We're trying to protect you," the son said quickly. "From what?" "From her." His eyes darkened. "Enough." The word echoed, cold, final. "She has shown me more honesty in weeks than any of you have in years." The room froze. "You can't be serious," the daughter whispered. "I am." "Then you're blind," the son snapped. "No," he replied slowly. "I'm finally seeing." Later that night, he sat alone, thinking, remembering, regretting. And then he called his lawyer again. "I want everything finalized," he said. "No delays." The next morning, Amara found him in the garden, sitting quietly, watching the sunrise. "You're up early," she said. "So are you." She stood beside him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he broke the silence. "Do you believe people can change?" Amara didn't answer immediately. Then she said softly, "Yes, but only when they're willing to face what they've done." He nodded slowly. "And if it's too late?" She looked at him. "It's only too late if you refuse to try." Their eyes held. Something unspoken passed between them. Something deep. Something inevitable. But inside the mansion, the family had already made their move, and this time they wouldn't fail. If you're still watching, drop a comment right now. Do you think Amara is telling the truth, or is she hiding something bigger? And don't forget to like this video if you're feeling the tension, because what happens next will change everything. The house was too quiet that morning. Not peaceful, not calm, just wrong. Amara felt it the moment she stepped into the hallway. The usual tension had shifted into something heavier, like something had already happened or was about to. She moved quickly toward the study. The door was slightly open. She pushed it gently. "Sir!" No response. Her heart skipped. She stepped inside. and froze. Chief Adrian Cole was slumped in his chair, still, too still. "Sir!" She rushed forward, her hands trembling as she reached him. His skin was cold, his breathing barely there. "Stay with me," she whispered urgently, her voice breaking for the first time. "Please, stay with me." His eyes flickered open slightly. He looked at her, and in that weak, fading moment, there was no power left in him, only truth. "You came back," he murmured. Tears filled her eyes. "I never left." A faint, fragile smile touched his lips. "You knew," he whispered. Her chest tightened. "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" Her voice trembled. "Because I didn't want anything from you." His breath caught. "Then why?" She swallowed hard. "To understand you." Silence filled the room. A single tear slid down his temple. "I don't deserve that," he said weakly. Amara shook her head slowly. "Maybe not," she whispered, "but I deserve to know who you were." His fingers moved slightly, reaching. She took his hand. It was weak, fading. "I was wrong," he said, his voice barely audible, "about so many things. I know. I left people behind, thinking I could come back later." Her grip tightened. "And now, there is no later." The words hung between them, heavy, final. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Amara closed her eyes briefly as tears slipped down her cheeks. "I know," she said softly. His breathing slowed, his grip loosened, and just like that, he was gone. The house erupted within minutes. Doctors rushed in, staff whispered, the heirs arrived. Shock turned into something else almost immediately. Control. "What happened?" the eldest son demanded, his eyes scanning the room. "He was fine yesterday," the daughter added sharply. All eyes turned to Amara. She stood near the window, silent. "She was with him," the younger brother said quietly. The accusation didn't need to be loud. It was already heard. "What did you do?" the daughter snapped. Amara looked at them, calm, broken but calm. "I stayed with him." "That's not what I asked," she shouted. "Enough." The lawyer stepped forward. "Now is not the time." But it already was. The funeral came fast, too fast. Black cars lined the entrance. Important people filled the seats. But none of it felt real, because beneath the surface, something was waiting. Back at the graveside, after the will had been read, the tension snapped completely. "This is fraud," the eldest son shouted. "There's no way he left everything to a maid." "We'll take this to court," the daughter added sharply. "You think you can just walk away with our father's fortune?" The younger brother stepped toward Amara. She didn't move, didn't react. The lawyer raised his hand. "There is an additional statement attached to the will." Silence fell again. He looked directly at Amara. "Miss, would you like to say it yourself?" For the first time, she hesitated. Her hands tightened slightly. Then she stepped forward, every eye locked onto her, every breath held. "My name," she began, her voice steady but soft. "My name is Amara Cole." The words landed like thunder. The family froze. "No," the daughter whispered, shaking her head. Amara didn't look away. "I am his daughter." The silence that followed was suffocating. "You're lying,"
the eldest son said, but his voice lacked conviction. My mother, Amara continued, was someone he left behind long before this house, this money, this life. She paused. Let the truth breathe. He didn't know about me until recently. All eyes shifted to the lawyer. He nodded slowly. He requested a private investigation weeks before his passing. The results confirmed it. The daughter staggered back slightly. That's impossible. It isn't, Amara said gently. I didn't come here to take anything from you. Then why come at all? The younger brother snapped, his voice cracking. Amara finally looked at them, really looked at them. Because I needed to know who he was. Her gaze softened. For myself. Silence stretched, long, heavy. And in that silence, something changed. Because deep down, they knew. They hadn't been there. Not really. Not when it mattered. Days passed. The mansion felt different now. Quieter, but not empty. Not anymore. Amara walked through the halls slowly, not as a maid, not as an outsider, but not as an owner either, just as someone who understood. The lawyer approached her in the main hall. The transfer process has begun. Everything is now legally yours. She nodded. And what will you do with it? She looked around, at the walls, the memories, the silence, then back at him. I'll keep what I need, and the rest, I'll use it. For what? She smiled faintly. To give people what he couldn't give his own family. The lawyer frowned slightly. And what is that? Amara's eyes softened. Presence. Weeks later, the mansion opened its gates again, but this time not for wealth, for people, children, families, those who had nowhere else to go. The rooms once filled with silence now carried laughter, life, second chances. The staff who once ignored her now respected her, not because of the money, but because of what she chose to do with it. She didn't stay there, not permanently. She visited, guided, helped, but she never allowed herself to be trapped by it, because her peace wasn't in the fortune. It never had been. One evening, she stood at the edge of the property, looking back at the mansion. The sun was setting, the light warm, soft. She remembered his last words. I'm sorry. And for the first time, she smiled, because she understood something now. He hadn't left her wealth. He had left her an apology, a chance to heal what he had broken, a chance to turn pain into purpose.